my first vlog ever, and it's about this thing. Both the most frustrating machine I've ever owned and the best machine I've ever owned. Replicator 2X by Makerbot. Now out of the box this thing is a pain in the butt, so this vlog is about all the modifications I've made to turn it from most frustrating to coolest. Okay, the first problem with a Makerbot is this thing, the build plate. It is a piece of heated steel or aluminium or something, and you're expected to cover it with this stuff, Captain tape, so that your prints stick but you can get them off. Now the Captain tape doesn't last long. Once it's on there and when you try to get your project off a couple of times, it's ruined and you've got to do it again. And getting your projects off the plate with the tape is just awful. So first thing to do is get rid of this stuff and find an alternative, and what we came up with through research online is a sheet of plastic that I have gotten from a local sign shop. So here's the build plate attached with the stationary clips. It's like I said, polycarbonate, a little bit of sanding to give it a texture for the ABS to stick to, which it does really well. And when you finished your print, you just undo the clips, give the board a little bit of a flex once it's cooled down, and your print should just pop off. Otherwise a chisel just under an edge and you can shear things off. And if you've got a spare one or three, you can print again straight away while your first one's cooling. So the next part of the stock Makerbot that I had issues with was the extruder. It's okay for a while, but the springs in it are frankly useless and had to be replaced. And they're not easy to find, so what I ended up doing was redesigning the extruder using all the original hardware except the spring. The springs I'm using are out of $3 shop builder's clamps, and the ones that have been in that right extruder now, or the spring that's been in that right extruder now, has been in there for over a year and had some pretty heavy work out and hasn't really missed a beat. So that's another great modification that has gone some way to making this machine usable and much more user friendly. Modification number 3. The build plate doesn't stay level for very long, and doing some research online, it's discovered that a lot of people think the Z axis arms wear out or flex when they're heated and cooled. So I've replaced those with some I bought from a guy online, and I will put the link to that in the video notes here on YouTube. While the build plate still isn't always level and needs adjusting on a regular basis, it does seem to be a lot more reliable. Okay, the most recent modification I've made was changing the spooling system. Originally the Makerbot comes with 2 spools on the back of the machine, which is a real pain in the butt. As you can see, it's not easy to get to, it's not easy to see when you're running out of plastic or when there's a jam or anything like that. So what I've done is I've moved the spools up onto rails above the machine. There's a clear line, so the tubing is not necessary, less friction. It's mounted on aluminium angle, which is bolted straight onto the machine. I've printed this frame to support the spools using 8mm threaded rod, and printed these bearing holders which allow the spool to roll nice and easily above the machine like that, which obviously makes changing a spool really easy and gives me a little bit of extra storage for spares. So the only thing I had to modify to make the spooling system work was to cut the cover. So I cut it in half and then cut a section out of the top of it to allow the filament to move around. It doesn't seem to affect printing at all. In fact, I think you can print without it. It's It's not really to keep heat in, I think it's just to keep breeze out. And so this is it, finished. One of the first questions I get from people when they find out I have a 3D printer is, what do you do with it? I'm a photographer and I like making my life easier, so I design and build things to make things easier. For instance, this little battery box which I've designed allows me to load batteries, replacement batteries, into a flash just with a quick sort of slam, and so that makes life a lot easier. Another thing I made is this grid snoot. It's purpose built for my SB 910 Nikon flash, just friction fit onto the end, grid snoot. The other thing that the flash has, that I've made for the flash, is this mounting system. This gets the flash a lot closer to the umbrella axis, where it would normally be up here, you know, a long distance from the center of the parabolic reflector. In fact, it's even higher because I have a pocket wizard normally in there. So that's another thing that gets made. Make little boxes to store things in. This is for my Wi-Fi transmitter for my Nikons. Nikon don't give you any packaging with that, so that's and you know, it's got this very sensitive electronics, so it was a bit nerve-wracking just having it floating around in a camera bag. So there's a little protective box for that. The other thing I've made is this filter hood for my Lee filter holder. It allows me to shade sunlight. I also printed this extension so that I can fit it to my Fuji. It also fits on the Nikons as well, obviously. So all I've printed here is the flags and the frame which holds them and fits onto the Lee filter arrangement. Here's another example of something I've designed and built to solve a particular problem. I want to create HDRIs and panoramic images using my 10.5mm lens on a D4, and well, at the moment it's on a motorized head, but this also mounts to my Manfrotto geared head and allows me to use the geared head or this head to rotate around the tripod at the nodal point of the lens, so there is no parallax error when creating my panoramas. Now this is a classic example of specific items creating an issue. Now you can buy an arrangement to do this, but it would be adjustable, it won't be specific to my lens, camera and tripod, so not cheap. So here's an example using my Chris Cameron photography logo in Modo to show how things or drawings or ideas get turned into things. I'm modelling the logo into a coaster. A lot of the things I create aren't specific to me and could be useful to other people, so I've made some of those things available to purchase as either finished products from Shapeways, and I'll put a link to my Shapeways store in the video notes, and some of my designs are available as downloadable files for people with printers to download and print their own. So here are the files in the Makerbot getting printed into the coaster. This is obviously a time-lapse sped up hugely. I think it took an hour and a half to print that, and that's the finished coaster. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and it was inspirational or instructional.